Hello, everyone. My name is Philippe Vancayseele. I'm the Master Chocolatier of the Chocolate Academy in Montreal. So welcome to the Chocolate Academy Live. Today, we're going to have a very nice, I would say, hour of pre-crystallization process. We're going to make some ganache, very nice ganache. It will be a Cointreau ganache. I will explain you different techniques because as we say, tempering or crystallization, which I prefer, and I will explain you why I prefer crystallization instead of tempering. There are a lot of books written about that, a lot of questions. We get everyday questions about how to temper or how to pre-crystallize chocolate. And I want to show you a very simple and very easy way to do it, to better understand how to do it, what's really going on, and how you can solve some problems that might occur, for example, in this case, overcrystallization. How do I manage this? Okay, and this is very, very important. Now, of course, today I will use a Callebaut chocolate. We have here an 811, which is a dark chocolate. It has about 54% cocoa content. But what I will do with this chocolate, of course, I just said, I will crystallize it. Why do we crystallize chocolate? Very important question. It's not to make a chocolate mousse or whatsoever, but it's more related to confectionery, to chocolatiers that wants to enrobe or mold molds, let's say, with this chocolate. Now, there are things we have to prepare, of course. But what is the purpose of crystallized chocolate is to make sure that we have a beautiful glass. Second, that's actually we create a beautiful and stable crystal form that will help also to contract, because when you put chocolate into a mold to create a shell, it has to contract to be able to unmold. And of course, we create a very nice and crispy texture, so a hardened snap. Now, to show what we're gonna make today, I will show you the product now. You can see it here. There is no, as we say, camouflage, no spraying, nothing. It's just the chocolate purely pre-crystallized, okay? And you can see we have a beautiful glass. You will see later on at the end of the demo, I will cut one in two that we can see the two layers of filling because it will be made with two layers. And I would say let's start. If you have any questions, do not hesitate, please, to ask them. Actually, in the description box below, you can ask a lot of questions. Please feel free. I'm here for that. If there are no stupid questions, so go for it. I'm there to help you, okay? Now, usually we start with the melted version. So we have here melted chocolate. And the first thing we have to do, because you probably see that there is no thermometer, so I will do it without thermometer. Because tempering, when we say tempering, is related, of course, to temperature. Now, there are three things that you have to take in consideration. First of all, it takes time to do it. The temperature is important, of course, but there is another very important thing, is the movement. If I skip one of these three things, I will not be able to pre-crystallize the chocolate, so to prepare the chocolate with cocoa butter crystals. Let me explain. When we say we temper the chocolate, okay, are you sure that it's going to be crystallized? I can give you a tempered chocolate that is not even crystallized. Crystallization means it's not the sugar that will crystallize, but actually the cocoa butter fat or the cocoa butter that will turn in a solid form, from liquid form into a solid form. And this solid form, one thing is very important to know is that cocoa butter is a polymorph fat, so it can crystallize in different forms. I'm sure you have seen this before, that sometimes the chocolate is blooming, it's like a white powder on top. Sometimes it's dull. Sometimes there are some stripes. I mean, these are different types of crystallization forms. So we have actually, cocoa butter can crystallize in 6 different forms, but there is only one that will give you a beautiful gloss, a hardened snap, and a good contraction. And that's the one that we're going to create here with this melted version. Okay? Melted version or melted chocolate is 45 degrees Celsius. So you have dark chocolate, milk chocolate, white chocolate, and like here behind me, we have the gold. It's over there, the gold and the ruby. Okay, so all those chocolates are melted at 45 degrees Celsius. Now, if you want to know a little bit about temperature, when you want to pre-crystallize the chocolate, for a dark, it's going to be around 31.5, 32 degrees Celsius. For a milk, around 30. And for the white, around 28 degrees Celsius. Why different temperatures? It's because the milk and the white chocolate contains milk fat. And milk fat also crystallizes. Butter oil if you want. So it will crystallize at a lower temperature. And that's the reason why to merge those two fats together and to have a homogeneously crystallized form together with the cocoa butter and the milk fat, we have to drop a little bit more the temperature. Why more in the white versus the milk is because the quantity of milk powder is more important into white instead of the milk chocolates. In the dark chocolate, we don't have any milk fat, okay? It's just purely dark chocolate, cocoa butter. Now, as I said, time, temperature, movement. Right? TTM, you can use it even in French, in Spanish, in different languages. So never forget TTM, time, temperature, movement. Now, how to do that? We have here a melting kettle. And in this melting kettle, I will show you the top there is no water. You can see that there is like a resistant, a wire inside that heats up this. You can see here, there is a little light. I'm here, yes, here, see? Actually, this is for me very important because when the light go on, I know that the wire is heating and will actually pass the heat to the chocolate, right? Now, why no water is because it's very important to avoid contamination with water. The biggest enemy of chocolate is humidity. No matter what, you have to avoid this at 100%. Using a bain-marie, as we said, it's boiled water. There is a lot of steam. Chocolate is like a sponge, will absorb all this humidity. And actually, the chocolate gets thicker. And you might think that it's crystallizing or temperate, if you want, and start to become really thick. So you lose the control of, is it really crystallization? Or is a chocolate, has a chocolate absorb some humidity and get thick of that? So prefer to avoid water completely. Now, I have here in front the thermostat, and I just bring it around, let's say 30. It's not, let's be honest, not accurate. First of all, I don't care about temperature, but at least I will drop the temperature of this chocolate that is melted at 45 degrees Celsius. Now, what I will do, I'm not going to drop it on the marble. I will just use the seeding method. Seeding is actually here. I have crystallized chocolate, 100% crystallized chocolate with the right beta form, because that's the form that we want to create. And the beta form is actually situated between 27 degrees Celsius up to 31, 32 degrees Celsius. So in that zone, I can pre-crystallize all the chocolates, white, milk, dark, ruby, and gold, without any trouble, okay? There, I will just create the right crystal form. If I go lower, I create unstable forms. For example, if this spoon is very cold, comes out of the freezer, and I drop crystallized chocolate on top, what's happened, of course, it will set very fast. The temperature will drop very fast while the chocolate is still liquid, so a part of the cocoa butter is still not crystallized, but will change in an unstable form. So by bias, contraction, forget, when you touch the chocolate, it melts very fast, it's out of control, okay? So that's really important to know. Now, how to process? I will open the bag so you can feel, you can hear also, it's completely sealed. Well, you see, this is very important. Yeah, it's really, really important to make sure that you protect the chocolate against humidity, okay? So open the bag, and the quantity that I have to add in this chocolate that has 45 degrees Celsius is around 15 to 20%. Of course, taking into consideration that the chocolate has around 20 degrees Celsius. If this is colder, automatically I will add less because it will drop even faster the temperature of this chocolate, okay? Now, I'm adding the callets. Let's say the quantity more or less that I need. And I will start to mix. So you can see here, I just mix the whole mass together. And now, of course, the little pieces of chocolate, hard chocolate, will start to melt, of course, because the melted chocolate is still warm, but it will help to drop the temperature. Now, I told you I'm not using any thermometer, okay, because I'm not tempering. Tempering is part of the process. The goal is crystallization. I'm going to pre-crystallize the chocolate. I'm going to prepare the chocolate with cocoa butter crystals. So first thing that I did before, I didn't show you, but I should actually, is mix before actually you add the drops. If you do that, this is your first reference. How does the chocolate looks like when it's completely melted? Because you can have chocolate that contains more cocoa butter, that contains less cocoa butter. So automatically, when the chocolate is melted, it will have already at the first stage a different viscosity. So this is really your first reference. Once that you have added the cocoa butter crystals or the callets, let's say, the temperature will start to drop. And when we arrive at the zone of crystallization, so crystallization zone between 32 and 27, for the dark will be more close to 32, the chocolate will change. It will start to get slightly thicker. So when it gets slightly thicker, for me, the chocolate gives me the information, hey, I start to turn liquid cocoa butter into a solid form. That's what I want, okay? And this will give me the information. The thermometer doesn't measure crystallization. It just measures temperature, no crystallization, okay? Crystallization, you talk with your chocolates, okay? And then, of course, as I said, time, temperature, movement, I have to give a lot of movement. It's not just dropping there and go to the supermarket, come back, and no. You have really to take these three things in consideration. TTM, you remember, time, temperature, movement, and then we will be sure that we will create a beautiful crystallization. Now, the first drops, you might see it a little bit, they start to become really, really small, okay? So why? Well, because the chocolate is still warm, but meanwhile, it's dropping. Temperature is dropping. Now, if, for example, I add too much callets, of course, at a certain moment, they will stop to melt. So for sure, your chocolate is crystallized. I will have to heat up a little bit to make sure that we don't have the little piece of chocolate to be able to work with a beautiful and smooth chocolate, okay? But crystallized, of course. In case I didn't add enough, it will take probably time before it starts to set, okay? So not enough crystallization. Now, mix well, really important, as I said. And I could just control the viscosity. It's the only thing that I control. Now, on the bags, you can see here, on the side, okay, we have like the crystallization curve. I'm going to show you. You see here, crystallization curve is actually, we melt the chocolate, go down, and go up again. Okay, you see that? That's now an example for the dark chocolate. Now, do I really need to follow this all the time for any type of pre-crystallization process? No. This is, of course, the most known. Why is the most known? Because years ago, and still people are doing this, they drop 2/3 of melted chocolate on the marble, keep 1/3 in the kettle, time, temperature, movement, give a lot of movement, the chocolate starts to solidify on the granite table or the marble, and then you actually have to over-crystallize. So you really have to drop the temperature lower to create as much as possible crystals, because when you put it back into the warm part, a part will remelt, and then the temperature will go up again. So this is really the crystallization curve. The seeding method, you don't need to do any curve. You just make sure that all the little callets are melted, and also that you see that the viscosity has changed, slightly thicker, because we just need between 0.4 and 0.6% cocoa butter crystals. If, let's say the average is 0.5, it means that 99.5 is still liquid cocoa butter, not crystallized, okay? So that's actually a little, I will not say secret, but that's the easiest way to work with, just observation, okay? So make sure that you can really control that way, and so no stress. The thermometer you use to, I would say, cook caramel if you want, but not for your chocolate. Now, if I see that it's still quite liquid and the coins are, or the little callets are almost gone, I will add a little bit more. Just a little bit, because I'm almost there. So it goes actually quite fast. So a good mix. So while I'm mixing, I will explain a little bit about the Callebaut range. So I just said about the dark chocolate, the milk chocolate, the white chocolate, ruby, gold. You know, those 5 colors, because we call them the 5 colors, are all sustainable chocolates. All those chocolates are traceable. It's very important. And the workability is really fantastic. Listen, it's more than 45 years that I work with Callebaut chocolates, actually since 1975, to be honest, when I was a student. And I was always in love with this product. Since I was using that, it's like in my blood, okay? So it's really an incredible product and easy to work with. Now, it's a 3-drop chocolate. What does it mean? So a 3-drop chocolate is actually, the standard viscosity. If it's 4 drops, it will be more liquid because it contains more cocoa butter. Is it just 1 drop? It contains less cocoa butter, so chocolate will be thicker. Okay. So for every purpose of to use this chocolate, a 1 drop is more to make a chocolate drink or a ganache, and a 4-drop or 5-drop even is used really to enrobe a product. A 3-drop, because actually you can see it here. So Clara will show you. So we have here 3 drops. You see that? So the 3 drops here, it's really the average of viscosity. And that's really the all-around chocolate for any kind of application. Okay? Enrobing, molding, that's really the chocolat tout faire, as we say in French. And trust me, it's really working really, really well. So we have here, we're going to do a little close-up now. Here you can see that we still have some little pieces. We're almost there. In case, as I said before, in case that I add a little bit too much, no panic. We're going to just slightly heat up, and it will be okay. At the end of the road, I would say, I will have chocolate that is slightly thicker. So I will heat it up slightly because I see that the little callets, just a few, are not melting away. I will not talk because I'm not sure you're going to hear me because it's a little bit noisy. But I will actually bring it more or less just to little pieces, mix well, and then it will be okay. All right. Sometimes people ask me, Chef, how do you do that to mix so fast? If I do this, it will be all over the place. Well, you ever saw the movie Chucky? So you keep your spoon like the knife for Chucky. You see, it's very, very simple and very easy. Yeah. Okay. Now, one thing that I forgot to explain you, or not forgot, but I will ask Clara to take on a little piece of a scraper, a little bit non-crystallized chocolate from the machine, and I will show you the difference. Again, how important it is while the chocolate, the time temperature movement, and the movement is really, really important, because I will show you what is a temperate chocolate, but not crystallized, okay? So I will show you this in a few minutes. Now here, I'm just checking that everything is fine, and actually, the chocolate gets slightly thicker. You can see that, slightly thicker. Okay, and that's for me a visual information without touching the chocolate, without putting the lips, the Pinocchio nose, whatever. Don't do that. First of all, it's not hygienic. And second, especially now, you know. And second, I mean, it's just give you information related to, I would say, temperature and not crystallization. Now, to show you, so here I get non-crystallized chocolate, so it's just melted. Now, if I leave this here for a while on the table, of course, the temperature will start to drop. Give some time. I arrive on a certain temperature. The chocolate will be colder in the zone below 31 degrees Celsius, but there will be something missing. And if I leave it there for 1 hour, it will remain like this 1 hour. But I will show you after. I will just pass a little knife and give some movement, and there it will start to crystallize. Just to show you and to explain you that movement is extremely important. Now, let's check. just slight heating, just to get a few pellets out. All right. So the heating gun, of course, pay attention because it's not specially made for chocolate. It's really hot, can go to 800, 900 degrees Celsius. If you just heat up like this without stirring, you will burn the surface of the chocolate. And burnt chocolate is really, I would say, vertical filing goes into the trash. Okay, don't do that, please. It's too good to put in the trash. Okay. All right. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I'm here to all answer your questions, or to answer all your questions, better. Now, what we're going to do now, we're going to do a molding. Because you saw previously, what we're going to make today is a little chocolate in a shape of a diamond. Okay. Now, how to process? First of all, we have the mold. So I will show you on the top camera. Yes, here we go. Yes, thank you. So we have like a, you see, the mold is completely clean. So I want to tell you something about the mold. Now, the mold is a polycarbonate mold. This one is very hard, very solid. And do not, I would say, do not polish them. Because when you do a molding and you unmold them, I know a lot of people do that. It's not necessary. Not necessary at all. Once that you unmold, and you probably notice that when you unmold a big egg, for example, big like that, when you unmold, there is a creation of electrostatic effect between the chocolate and the mold. So you can imagine, and sometimes you hear that, you know, when you unmold, okay? So it means that all the dust that's in the air goes straight into your mold. It can be dust from sand or whatever, the dust, okay, goes into your mold. And what you do then the following day, for example, or when you're gonna remold second time or third time, you're gonna use your cotton and you're gonna sand your molds. Please don't do that. In the industry, can you imagine, in a big industry, you think there is somebody polishing the molds every batch? No, 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 no. It's preheated and then remolded. Why? Because here the cocoa butter layer, after we have to give them a first molding, there is a microscope thin layer of cocoa butter that stays into the mold. Just leave it there. When you preheat, I will show you how to preheat the mold, just to cut the cold, even when it's 20 degrees Celsius, room temperature, okay? Actually, this will melt, and then it will become even smoother. How smoother the surface inside the mold, how more gloss you will create. You saw at the beginning, it's a beautiful gloss, but after 2-3 moldings, it will have an even better gloss, okay? So do not remove the cocoa butter inside your mold, please. Now, how to preheat the mold? Very fast. I use a heating gun. Done. So what's happened, because it's very hot, I just break the cold. Now it's maybe 25 degrees, 26 degrees Celsius. It's perfect, okay? Now, mix well. I have a tray of with parchment paper, because I will put it upside down. And then straight away with the spoon, I bring the chocolate on top of the mold. I don't use a ladle, because I don't eat. For me, it's easy to work just with a spoon. So you see how I do that. To do it very clean, I use the top of the palette knife, bring it into the corners, okay? Voila. When this is filled, I clean the palette knife, scrape in one shot, and you can see it already. It's only here that is dirty. The only part that I have to clean is this. Here it's clean. This is clean, not clean. This is clean, you see? And my jacket is also clean, so perfect. Now, what do I have to do now? I have to vibrate, of course, to get the air bubbles out. How do I do that? Here on the side of the table, I give vibration up and down. When I see that all the air bubbles are out, I turn the mold upside down and hit with this part, not with the metal part, because you damage the mold. Huh? So, but with this, no problem. Keep it low and flat. When you think it's enough, just scrape first, a second time, turn upside down, okay? And now you can see here, we have a nice shape, maybe with the other camera, Clara. Yes, I can see. Thank you. Okay, we can see we have more or less 2.5, 3 millimeters maximum, 2.5 actually, as a shell inside the mold. Now, what I'm doing now, I'm going to put it upside down on a piece of paper, like this, and leave it there for a couple of minutes. It will start to set. I will remove it and then clean the surface. The shell will be ready. Okay? Simple. Very simple. Okay. All right. So now, for next process now, the next process is in the recipes that you have all received, you will see that I make like a speculoos preparation. It's like a crumble, okay? So you have brown sugar, you have, here in this case it's hazelnuts powder, but you could use almond flour, very good with almond, of course. We have sugar, we have all the ingredients, we have butter. You create like a crumble with this, put it on a tray, on a silpat, you bake it at 160 during 10 to 15 minutes. When it's cold, you just blend it into a powder. I'm going to show you. And then we have this. You see, this kind of powder. If you can go on top, please. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you very much. So here, that's how it's blended, completely blended. Okay. And then after, what I will do, I will mix, actually, will be mixed with gianduja. What is gianduja? Gianduja is a milk chocolate that contains 25% pure hazelnut. Gianduja is actually, I would say, born in the north of Italy, in the region of Piemonte. It's very known for the hazelnuts. Okay, top quality hazelnuts, actually, by the way. And here is actually a chocolate that is mixed with 25%. Now, and this is the milk gianduja. We have also dark gianduja, okay, where you have it will be made with dark chocolate. So it's actually between 25 and 30% pure hazelnut paste, no sugar added. Okay, so here, of course, do I need to pre-crystallize these two? Yes, because it's chocolate. It contains cocoa butter. So this one is already pre-crystallized. Okay, how do we pre-crystallize gianduja? If you want to know a little bit about the temperature, okay, it's around 28, like a milk chocolate. Okay, like a white chocolate. Sorry, because it contains also hazelnut oil. Okay, so it's gonna be a little bit softer, but you need to pre-crystallize it as well. Now, here, the powder will be mixed with the pre-crystallized gianduja. Now, gianduja doesn't exist in callets. It's we sell these and we produce these in blocks of 11 pounds or 5 kilo. This you have to melt and then crystallize on top of the table. You know, the table method, I would say, tablage in French. And then it's going to be perfectly okay. I do exactly the same. I drop it on the mob, the whole thing, you know, time, temperature, movement. From the moment that I see that it starts to become slightly thicker, it's fine. Back into the kettle, you mix, and you can use it straight away, okay? It's not more complicated as that. Don't make it yourself too complicated. Life is already complicated enough. Okay, this one is ready. Now, between two guitar sheets, I will put some of this crispy bottom, because this I will actually make like little discs that will be in the bottom of the shell. Well, not the bottom of the shell, but the bottom of the bonbon, okay? Now, here, I just spread it out slightly, a little bit, okay? Put the plastic on top, and then use a roller just to make it nicely and flat. Now, the thickness that you want to have, I mean, you decide. If you want to have 4 millimeters or 3 millimeters or 2 millimeters, no problem. It's up to you, okay? But the only thing you will have to know is, one, that you're going to fill the shells with the ganache. Of course, you have to make sure that you don't fill too much, because if you put a big disc, of course, you will not be able to close well after. So that's important that what you wanna do, which kind of thickness actually you want to achieve. Okay, but here I go around 3 millimeters for myself. Okay, this is going into the fridge. Here you go. And then I have one already prepared. So in the fridge, it's really not too much time. Huh? It's about 10 minutes. When it's crystallized, it really goes fast. And then we remove the plastic. Again, other side. Okay. And then to show you very closely is what we're going to do. We're going to use like a round cutter. Actually, this size is actually the perfect size to enter inside the shell, okay? And we're just gonna cut out, okay? So here, hop, and you see we have about, 3 millimeters here. It's just perfect. You see, even when it comes out of the fridge, it's cuttable, you know, it's really, really easy to use, okay? All the leftover, I would say, you can just remelt and reuse. I mean, it's completely recyclable. Okay, so this is for this part. So this part is already ready. Now to come back to what we have done before, you remember this one? Hop, it comes out, and you can see there is a beautiful gloss inside. You see that? That's really the chocolate that I just have pre-crystallized for you and molded. Okay, you see, no thermometer, or whatsoever. Scrape well the surface in an angle of 45 degrees Celsius. You see that? 45. You really nicely scrape the surface of the mold. It's really important to have this completely smooth. Why? It's because when you close it and you have a lot of bumps of chocolate, I mean, to close is going to be a way too difficult. So make sure that it's completely smooth. It will make your life even easier. Okay? So this one is ready to be filled later. Of course, you remember this one that I explained to you? If we can have a short close-up, you can see it here. It's still soft. Yeah. Now here, I will just give a little bit movement. And you will see later on, that's where it will start to set. Just to prove you that movement is extremely important. Now, meanwhile, of course, I have to keep an eye on the chocolate. So we have the chocolate here. I mix. Because what's happened after a while, for the moment, it's okay. I did a great job. Thank you. For the moment, it's okay. But after a while, the chocolate will start to thicken. But I didn't drop the temperature. Yeah, no matter what, the chocolate will start to thicken. Why? Because chocolate is like, for me, a living thing. A certain moment that you have launched the crystallization, okay, and that you have memorized the chocolate, how it looks like the moment that it was well pre-crystallized, because that's the reference that you have to remember for the whole time that you are using your chocolate, it's going to become thicker and thicker because you have a multiplication, a growing process of crystals. Even don't think that your chocolate getting colder. No, it's remain the same temperature, but get thicker. Too much crystals, over crystallization process. What do I have to do? And it's there where a lot of people have struggled with that. It's very simple. As we are crystallizing and not temper the chocolate, we're going to increase slowly the temperature. I start maybe here with a dark chocolate in front of you at, let's say, 32, okay? But maybe at the end of the day, if the day was the whole day, at the end of the day, I might be at 35, maybe 35.5 degrees Celsius. Actually, I don't care which temperature I am. From the moment that I see that the chocolate remains slightly thicker, and if I need to heat up to bring it back to 0.5% crystals, I will do that, no matter about the temperature. Because again, we're crystallizing the chocolate. We're not tempering, okay? And that's the way how you can do it more on an artisanal way. Of course, there are automatic machines. Just push the button and the machine regulate. If you put the right parameters, the machine is automatically doing this. A wheel machine is actually the same what you do here, okay? It's a seeding method. And you have to control sometimes, okay, do I need to increase the temperature, whatever? Yes, you will have to. We have here in the academy a wheel machine, a big one. We have to, it's white chocolate, we have to put it at 33.5, while it's normally 28, you see? But because we have to increase the temperature all the time. Good. Now you can see here, if we can have a little close-up, Clara. So we can see here it's crystallizing, and it has a beautiful gloss. You see that? So this is a nice indication. This is my little sample, I would say, okay? Now, meanwhile here, while I was talking, I will show you here, this part that I was giving movement, it's already hard. See, there is nothing, well, almost, sticking here. It's getting harder, but here is still liquid. See that? Or soft. So you see how important it is to give movement? No movement, no crystallization. All right, next step now, we're gonna make the ganache. Now, the ganache, what is a ganache? A ganache is actually an emulsion between something that contains water and something that contains fat. For example, cream chocolate, milk chocolates, wine chocolate, water chocolate. Whatever that contains water will be mixed with fat, and we create a beautiful emulsion. Now, if you make a ganache, let's say 2 parts of chocolate and 1 part cream, for example, cream usually, the average total fat content is about 35% fat. You create a beautiful ganache, really full, tasteful, with the 811, it's just, wow, amazing. But what's happened after a while, it will start to dry out. The water inside the ganache, coming from the cream, will start to evaporate. Yes, even through the layer of the shell, for sure. It will start to dry out. Well, what's happening is that the water inside is not actually kept inside. So shelf life, it might be microbiologically stable enough, but it will become harder, crispy, because actually the sugars inside the chocolate and the cream or the milk, of course, will start to become sandy. You know, when you bite on a ganache that is drying out, I mean, it's really crispy like sand, you know, and it's actually the sugar that you are biting on. So even sometimes you can remove the shell around the filling just because it's shrinking, okay? So now to avoid this, we need to, of course, keep the moist inside, but has to be completely saturated, because too much free water in ganache will, of course, shorten the shelf life, and in extremely cases, you create mold inside. And it's beautiful color, but we don't have this, of course. Huh? We don't want to have this. So, but here, by the way, because it's a big explanation about sugars, etc. Go to the Fundamental Fridays from Russ Tyre. He will explain you all this about the molds. I did one with him also. It's fantastic. So go and see there. It's really, really nice. You will have a lot of information about that. Now, we have the chocolate here, of course, the 811, because we remain in the same chocolate. I have the alcohol, and the alcohol is like a gel. I will show you a little bit closer what it is. It's coming actually from Rémy Cointreau. It's a company in Europe, in France, that creates more like a gel. This one contains 50% alcohol. We have invert sugar. Invert sugar is, it's like honey, if you want, okay? We have glucose, because you see, glucose doesn't crystallize, so it means that this glucose will help to avoid recrystallization of the sugar. We have a sorbitol. Sorbitol is actually a product that you can find in ripe fruits, okay? And then we have the 100% fat, so it's actually clarified butter, so no water, just to reduce the quantity of water in your ganache. If you want to use regular butter, no problem, but take in consideration when you make the calculation of your ganache, it contains 20% water, okay? And usually chefs are boiling the butter together with the cream to already evaporate the part of the water. Here, I will add it just at the end. It doesn't contain water, so no trouble at all, okay? Now, what I will do now is boil the cream. So I have here the cream and the milk, okay, is already mixed. And then I will, meanwhile, start to melt or to add the, I'm just gonna put it like this so that everybody can see what I'm doing. Are we there? Yes. Good. Now, I have the inverted sugar. We have the glucose. I'm just going to boil the whole thing together. So I need to add the sugars now, make sure that it's melting. Yeah? The glucose, all right. The sorbitol sugar. If you don't want to use sorbitol, just use inverted sugar, glucose, it's fine. The sorbitol will just helps actually to have a very nice and smooth texture, absorb a little bit water, so keep the water inside to reduce the water activity, but at least keep also your ganache longer soft, okay? The chocolate I will put into a mixer. I will show you later on. I will put it here so you can see it, and that's the butter. And then the alcohol for just after. All right. So while the cream and milk is warming up, I'm using actually a Thermomix. In a Thermomix, I could actually, let's say, boil the cream here, add the chocolate, but just to spare a little bit time, because now this is cold, it will help me to drop the temperature of the ganache. And that's what I want. And that's the reason why I want to show you separately. I boil the cream and add it here, because not everybody has this. But can have an immersion blender, you know, a hand mixer is also good, of course. From the moment that you have knives to mix it, that's the most important thing. Just do it with a spoon or with a whisk. The texture is not the same. It's really important to have like a cutter, you know. This is a 4-blade cutter. A hand mixer has 2 blades, but it's even good. Most of them. Some of them have 4 blades. Okay, so this is boiled. Sugar is completely melted. I add it to the chocolate straight away. Don't need to wait. Not necessary. And then we're just gonna mix. Can we show it on top, please, Clara? Yes, thank you. So you can see it here. Close. Oops. I'm gonna put this back. And then slowly mix. Tu peux montrer le top, s'il te plaît? Yes. And here you can see it mixing. And this goes really, really fast. Because we have about, as I said, 4 blades. Just to show you, if I stop now, you can already see the emulsion is already created. You see that? All right, very glossy. But I still have to add the butter. That's what we're going to do. Okay. And then after, at the end, the alcohol. So as I said to you, this alcohol is it's a gel, because by law here in North America, you cannot find a liquid alcohol 60-70%. It's not allowed by the law. But when it's in a gel form, yes. Okay, so Rémy Cointreau has invented this product also. So you see, it's really jelly. You see that? It's like a gel. And this is very nice because thanks to the gel, the flavor of the alcohol, this is Cointreau, will really remain. I mean, it will not evaporate that easily. Now, it's important that the ganache has a temperature lower than 70 degrees Celsius to make sure that the alcohol is not going to evaporate, because this will also become a little bit more liquid, okay? But it's really a fantastic product if you want to flavor your ganache with alcohol. Okay. Done. Now, very important now, next step, there's a stainless steel tray. What do I do with this? Stainless steel, not aluminum. Okay, very important. I will drop the ganache here, and I will start to pre-crystallize the ganache too. Why do we need pre-crystallize the ganache? Well, first of all, because it contains chocolate, that contains cocoa butter, and if you want to have a smooth and very nice texture, you have to also pre-crystallize the ganache. This is a dark ganache. I will pre-crystallize it around between 30 and 32 degrees Celsius. Okay? Contains also butterfat, and this butterfat, thanks to the movement and thanks to the cooling, will also start to crystallize. So we will create a beautiful and nice emulsion. If you don't pre-crystallize it, shelf life will be also a little bit shorter. So it's really, really important to do that. So you see, we have an extremely beautiful emulsion, completely glossy. This is what we want to obtain. Okay, here we go. Mix well. And slowly by slowly, temperature will drop. So it's a small quantity, so it will go quite fast. There we go. All right, so once that we have more or less, I'm not using a thermometer because I used to, if you want to use a thermometer, you can do that. You just put a thermometer inside the ganache, and you will, if you feel more confident with that, no problem. No problem for that. For the ganache only, not the chocolate. Okay. So spread it out. So we are, I can see it on the texture. When the texture starts to change slightly thicker, so for me that's a visual information. You're there, buddy. The temperature is right. So it can go into the little bowl, and then we can start to fill in a few minutes. Yes, that's fantastic. All right, so here, scrape it back into the bowl. It's going to be easier to fill the piping bag, of course. Now, I don't do this on the marble. Why? Because the marble, you know, it's not always as clean as the tray here, because this tray goes into the dishwasher, so it's always very clean. For hygiene reasons, I mean, that's the top. So I really want to keep it like that. And then we have here the ganache that is slightly thicker and ready to be used. Okay, so what I'm using, of course, in this case, is a piping bag. So we're going to take the shell, the mold with the pre-made shells. Piping bag, I don't need a nozzle. Okay. We'll fold this piping bag a little bit more open. And then I just bring the ganache into the piping bag. I'm not going to put too much because it's only one mold. Now, the quantity, or let's say the quantity that you cut from the point, depends the liquidity of the ganache. If it's very liquid, don't cut too much. Okay? If it's thick, you can cut a little bit more. All right? Because this is important. Otherwise, it's a little bit out of control sometimes. Okay, here we go. So now, the way how the quantity that I will fill depends the thickness also of the bottom. So we just pipe the right quantity. See that? Very, very simple. Yeah. I do it again. Make sure that you don't make the edge dirty with ganache, because if there is like a little bit ganache on the side, when you're going to close, you have chocolate, ganache, chocolate. It doesn't close well. You might have ganache that comes out, you know, because chocolate will shrink, will put pressure on the filling. And when it comes out of the fridge, the filling will expand again, and a little hole somewhere, and the filling comes out. Now, to show you now how to put the little discs on top of the ganache. So here, we put this here. And what is very important here is that we are a little bit lower than the surface of the mold. Why? Because after I will have to pass some chocolate on top to close the whole thing. So you can imagine if you go too high, you're not going to close it well. You will see a part of this coming through the bottom. I mean, that's not really the purpose. So we have to make sure that it's completely closed, like I would say like a safe. The safe is your shell, and the money is your filling. So it's important to close everything well, if you want to protect it well at least. So here we just fill up the rest. So make sure nothing on the side, just in the center with the right amount of ganache in this case. If I made the disc a little bit thinner, of course, I will add a little bit more ganache. But you have to remain, let's say, about 2 millimeters, 2.5 millimeters from the surface of the mold. So like this, it's going to be perfectly easy to close after. Okay, so you push well. And by pushing, you push also the air outside. You know, there is if you have a little bit air on the side, no problem. You push the disc on top, and you push out the air. Very simple and very easy. Okay. And when this is done, it goes in the fridge for, let's say, 10 minutes maximum. Okay. And then we will close them with a layer of chocolate. So I will do this in a few seconds while this one is completely finished. Voila. So this is 28 cavities. Okay. You can look at the top if you don't see anything passing through the layer. So yes, in front, please. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. So you can see if you look at this way on top and you don't see something passing above the surface of the mold, it's perfect. Okay, so this going to the fridge. And now I'm going to show you how to close the mold. All right, now we come back with the chocolate. Meanwhile, I have to check again the chocolate, because as I told you, there is a over-crystallization process. And I can already see that it starts to become slightly thicker. You see that? It's going to be a little bit thicker. Not too much, but slightly is already over-crystallizing. I might have maybe 1.5% crystals. It's too much. It has to be 0.5%. Using the gun, preheat a little bit. Go really fast. It's very, very hot, so pay attention so that it's not over-crystallizing. All right, so now to close, very simple. Look well. Now we have this surface here, okay? We have some space, and the shell here, if you can close it a little bit closer, thank you. So the shell here has already crystallized. So if I want to make sure that I stick the two layers together, I have to preheat the surface. To preheat the surface will soften this chocolate, and then I will glue the two layers together. Because sometimes you have this little coin on top. I mean, when you cover it, it's like a disc of chocolate that you put on top again. Might start to shrink, and then you have like cracks, dry the products, the filling out. Sometimes leaks. I mean, to avoid all this, we're going to just preheat the mold slightly. So here we go with the heating gun. Very fast, okay, because it's very hot. So pay attention that you don't really melt the whole thing. So the chocolate is fine. Just going to put it nicely in the center that we can see it from the top camera. Okay. And then I do exactly the same what I did before. Pour chocolate on top. Less than, of course, molding it because it's just too close. And then with a palette knife, I really push as much as I can the air bubble out of the chocolate. Voila. And then with a large scraper, I just pass one time. Now, if I pass, so, well, I could, you could do it in 2 times, sorry. So maximum 2 times. So one in one side, go in the other side. And that's it. Because if I give too much movement, what's happened is that I'm over-crystallizing the chocolate. Also, the bottom is, for me, even important as the top. It has to be well closed and has to be shiny. Okay? So that's really, really important to do that. and then you put in the fridge for, let's say in this case, because the chocolate has already, the shell has already crystallized and shrinked also actually. So just 5 to 10 minutes maximum before unrobing. Okay, now, the unmolding process, very simple. Just to do it well, that's the only thing we have to do is there we go. Put a piece of paper. Now, you just knock a little bit on the mold to make sure that they release a little bit. They're not potatoes. You have made this with love, so treat this with love. I mean, if I hit like this, they might fall on the floor. I mean, we're going to avoid this. To avoid all these terrible actions, I just keep it like this. So for close, yes, thank you. I'm going to put the spoon like this. So you keep it like that, and then you tap. You see? And everything comes out without any problems. With a beautiful shine, completely closed, and I would say, santé. Perfect. Now, this mold has been used. It's slightly cold because it went a little bit before I unmold out of the fridge. What I have to do, preheat the mold. I cut the cold, I do the molding again. No polish. You will have a better glass. You see, the glass is wonderful, but you will have an even better glass after. Don't polish. Don't polish, please. Don't do that. You damage the mold more than you think. Okay, so, well, I hope you really enjoyed. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate. And we have, I forgot to present you Laurence. Laurence Torchery is our Chocolate Academy coordinator here in Montreal. And I was also assisted by Clara Kika, our Chocolate Academy assistant. And I will ask Laurence if we have some questions meanwhile.
Yes, for sure. What happens if over-crystallize my chocolate? Is it ruined?
Excuse me, sorry?
If the chocolate is over-crystallized, can I reuse it? Or?
Of course, like I explained already during the demonstration, it's crystallization. So when it's over-crystallizing, you just increase the temperature of the chocolate. Don't measure the temperature, because if you're going to measure, you're going to see, oh my God, it's 33, 34. So what? The amount of crystals is there. You keep 0.5%, more or less 0.5, and that's the best way you can do it. So as I told you, you could work the whole day, and we did some tests in the lab when I was at Calbo in Belgium, because I'm born and raised in Belgium, 18 years in Belgium, actually, at the factory at Calbo. We were doing tests in the lab, and we could go until 35.5 or something before really the stable crystal start to melt down, okay? Stable means strong, and that's the reason why you have this overcrystallization process with a strong crystal form. So to slow down this process, you have to increase the temperature. Very important. And to maintain, don't drop again. You stay where you are, where you have increased the temperature.
Thank you, Chef. So the next question is, how can I perform the seeding method without a melter like you have? Can I do this over a water bath or in the microwave?
Yes, you could do this in the microwave, for sure. A water bath or bain-marie. For me, Marie is already long time dead and buried. I mean, I don't want to use this. Why not? Because it contains water. A bain-marie is boiled water. You have a lot of steam. The chocolate is just absorbing this humidity, and then you actually contaminate your chocolate with water. It's the biggest enemy of chocolate. So please try to avoid this. Microwave is dry. We have one here. Microwave is dry. The only thing you have to pay attention, let's base on a domestic microwave, which is about between 800 and 1100 watts. You put this in a plastic bowl, let's say like this one, okay? Not in Pyrex, because it's actually the bowl that gets warm and not the chocolate. So here, this is not going to be warm. It's the chocolate bowl that will melt, okay? So what's happened is that 30 seconds, you take it out, you mix. Even if they are not melting, No problem. You put them in another position, I would say, because microwave, how does it work? Is actually the molecules are moved from the center to outside, and that's where it's usually start to burn in the middle if you don't remove them. 30 seconds back, and etc., etc. And you will see then certain moment they start to stick to each other and then start to melt slowly by slowly, okay? Now, you could melt the chocolate then completely and then do the seeding method like I just did today. Or, once that you have a little bit experience, you can go straight to the amount of crystals. I mean, the Kellets contains, let's say, 100% crystallized cocoa butter, so the stable one, okay? So if I melt 99.5, I remain 0.5. So you can, once that you know the viscosity of well pre-crystallized chocolate, using always the same chocolate, you will notice this. Okay, now I see it's the same viscosity when it used to be well pre-crystallized with a melting kettle. And then really, it's just a habit. It's just a personal training, and you will test it and take a sample. And when you see that it's glossy, you will put it somewhere in your hard disk and never forget, okay? That's the perfect way to do. And when it starts to over-crystallize, put it back 1 or 2 or 3 seconds in the microwave. Stir well and continue to work. It works perfectly.
Okay, so then next question, will the process be the same for ruby and gold?
Process is the same. We have the 5 colors, milk, white, dark, ruby, gold. The process is exactly the same, only, let's say, the pre-crystallization temperatures, like I said, dark 32, milk 30, white 28. For the ruby, it's going to be around 30, 29. The gold is a little bit more like a white chocolate, so I will go also around 28, 29 degrees Celsius for the gold. Perfect. And it will also over-crystallize, and you will also, again, will have to increase the temperature after a while.
So then, how can I do if I don't have a heating gun?
So you can use a microwave, okay? If you don't have a heating gun, I would say buy one. It's not so expensive, and it's really useful. Some people are using a hair dryer, but it's not that hot, so it takes a little bit more time. But the microwave is really a good tool. You have a better control, because in a warm water bath, the water is still heating. And then sometimes you overheat the chocolate, and then actually you remelt the whole crystallization process. So, but you have to control the thing, okay, completely. And controlling is really just heating without constantly a source of energy that actually keep the chocolate warm. I mean, it's something like that. Because here I have a thermostat. I can reduce if I see it's going to be too warm, you know. But warm water bath, before it starts to cool down, it takes a while.
What to do with extra chocolate that I don't use after finishing to work with the pre-crystallized chocolate?
This is a very good question. Thank you for asking this question. Now, this chocolate has been crystallized, okay? It's still crystallized. If I say, okay, I go on holiday and I come back in 1 month, I don't want to keep it melted, I turn it off. Cover well. If I come back, okay, and I will heat up again, it might be slightly grainy. Why? Because during the melting process, of course, everything will be melt. The chocolate solidifies completely, and it turns, because it's a big layer of, no, it's not melting because I turn it off, sorry. It's a big layer of chocolate. So there is a lot of energy inside. It's crystallization warmth. It's actually all those crystals there is a friction between all these crystals and create energy. It's like when you do this with your hands, you feel exactly the same. So get stuck inside. And then when it's solidified, okay, completely, and you put it on again, it might be grainy. And then you will have to use an immersion blender or a mixer to make sure that all these grains are gone. It's not a problem, but it's an extra work. Now, to avoid this, you know what you do? You take a mold, you fill all your, the mold, fill all your chocolate in molds, put in the fridge, full, completely full. You unmold and put it in the back, vacuum. So you have nicely pre-crystallized big callets if you want, okay? And when you're going to remelt this one, it's going to be smooth like a skin of a baby, okay? No problems, no grainy texture whatsoever. So, but that's a very good question. I'm really happy to have this question. Thank you.
I have a question regarding sugar. Can we always replace the invert sugar with honey in ganaches?
Yes. I've traveled all over the world, and I remember years ago there was not possible to have invert sugar in Brazil, for example. People were using honey, and molecularly is the same product. But of course, if you don't want to taste the honey, you have to take a honey that has a very neutral flavor, because you know in honey you have different level of flavors. Okay. Otherwise, every bonbon, every chocolate tastes like a honey ganache. Okay. But yes, it's possible to do that. Now, for more the professionals, it exists also. You have also so invertase, which is actually an enzyme, okay, that gives the same process. It's like it's liquid in a bottle. You have to keep it in the fridge. But when you make a ganache, for example, using invertase, and you add just about 1 or 2%, really not so much. Of course, when you go over 70 degrees Celsius, as it is an enzyme, you kill the enzyme above 70 degrees Celsius. So you always have to add this by adding a lower than 70 degrees Celsius. Now, this is really for the professional world. Some chocolatiers are using this, not so much. The most common invert sugar is, yeah, just normal inverted sugar that you can buy on the market, or the honey. Simple.
So the last question, but not the least, can you talk more about the terminology of pre-crystallization, crystallized, tempering? What is the chocolate tempering and the crystallization of the mold and the setting of chocolate? So this is the question, very important for the...
Okay, this was a lot of questions in one question. So setting, when I say setting, is when the chocolate, when you touch the chocolate, it doesn't stick. So this is setting. Sometimes we say it's drying, but it's not dry, there is no water in chocolate, okay? So setting is more that. When the chocolate sets, when the ganache starts to set, is really crystallizing, the final position of crystallization. And there was then something else about what you said about...
tempering versus crystallization.
Yes, tempering. You remember this here that I showed you? Okay, now we start to release, but this part is really, really soft. This is more hard, okay? So what's happened is that crystallization is really giving time, temperature, and the movement that you create actually a crystallization process through the cocoa butter in relation, of course, in a certain temperature related to the certain chocolate, white, milk, or dark, okay? This is really important to no movement, no well crystallization. If I have, for example, melted chocolate and I put it just here in front of me and I just wait, of course, the chocolate, there is no heating system around this melting bowl, sorry. What's happened? The temperature will start to drop. Slowly but surely. If I use a thermometer and I see, and let's say it's dark chocolate, and I see, oh, 32 degrees Celsius, the chocolate is actually temperate because it has the right working temperature. But it's not crystallized because I'm missing something, the movement. And this is actually what I showed you here with this piece of chocolate, that as far as you don't give the movement, it won't crystallize properly. Okay, and if you don't, it will solidify for sure. Huh? If you leave it there for some hours, one day it turns hard, but you will see it's going to be gray. When you piece, when you break this layer of chocolate in two, it's very grainy. There is no beautiful structure. I mean, you cannot use this. Definitely. Quality-wise, there is nothing changed. It's still top quality chocolate, but the aspect, the way how cocoa butter has been crystallized or not crystallized will change a lot.
So we have no more questions.
No more questions. Anyway, if you have more questions, do not hesitate to send us the questions through. There is a link where you have the recipe, of course, and the description box below. So you will ask a million questions. I will give you millions of answers. It's for me very, very important that you know everything well, because there are so many questions regarding crystallization. Is really important. So step by step, what I have done. Pre-crystallize the chocolate, make a beautiful shell. I didn't want to stop there. I want to make a ganache. So I make a Cointreau ganache based on the same chocolate. We have a bottom, crispy bottom of gianduja mixed with blended or grounded speculoos. And yeah, that's it. I hope you have enjoyed. Next time, My next colleague that will give a live demonstration is Megan Bell, from the Chocolate Academy in Chicago, and she will be very indulgent with hot chocolate. So please do not forget to look. Megan is so sweet. She will learn she will share her passion like I do also. Okay, so do not hesitate to subscribe and to follow this demonstration free of charge, with pleasure for you guys. Please stay safe, take good care of yourself. I give you everybody a big hug, and so long. Thank you for watching.